2023. The first item of business is our citizens' comment time. This is an opportunity for citizens to address the commission with comments or questions about planning and zoning commission related matters that are not a public hearing action item on this agenda. Citizens are asked to limit their time to 3 minutes each. Citizen comments and testimony for public hearings can be made in person or by emailing Don at the city. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to have their 3 minutes tonight with the citizens' comments? Please step forward. Any comments from the email gallery? Next item is the approval of our minutes from the last meeting, August 23rd meeting. Did everyone get a chance to scroll through there? It looked really good. It looked good to me. Hayden took really good notes, didn't she? Yeah. She did really good on that. So, anybody like that?
I would move that we accept the minutes as presented.
That's great.
I would second that.
Thank you, Maureen. It's been moved and seconded that we approve these minutes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And those opposed, that motion carries. Item number 4, we're looking at the approval of our reason statement of relative criteria and standards. Last meeting, we approved conditional use permit giving Tobe Finch the permission to put a billboard on his property. The applicant requested a conditional use permit, which we approved. That was conditional use permit number 23-3. It's on the east side of 17th Street, right at that little tree. We're looking to approve this so we can move this on to the city council tonight. I would entertain a motion to approve this.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Just for the record, it doesn't go to city council.
It doesn't.
Unless it's appealed.
Let's just approve it right now then.
I'll still make that motion.
All right, we'll take it. Did I hear a second? Thanks, Kathy. Moved and seconded that we approve this. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? All right, that motion carries. Item number 5, we're talking about a preliminary plat, Canyon Crest South Edition. Canyon Crest South Edition preliminary plot proposes a plat approximately 9.4 acres. It's undeveloped land on the east side of 18th Street. And luckily, we've got Mark here to help us all out today.
Commissioners, good evening. Mark Wiggins, City Surveyor, here to present the staff report for the Canyon Crest South Edition preliminary plat. So this is an aerial image of the proposed plat. The preliminary plat of the Canyon Crest South Edition proposes to plat approximately 9.4 acres of land into 56 development lots. The property is vacant at this time and is bordered by improved streets on 2 sides with Airway Avenue down here on the south and 18th Street over here on the west. Undeveloped Bryden Avenue also abuts the north boundary of the proposed development. In a related action that this commission will not address, the developer has applied for a vacation of approximately 476 feet of this undeveloped Bryden Avenue right-of-way. That becomes relevant to the consideration of the plat because the developer is proposing to include this south half of the vacated portion of Bryden in this proposed subdivision. You can see that represented in this area where the yellow subdivision boundary goes to the north or extends to the north of the light blue right-of-way line. So that right-of-way line is here, and then all of this portion, this long narrow portion, is in that vacated portion that he's asking to be vacated. So the city council will not consider the proposed vacation until the same meeting where they consider the preliminary plat that you're looking at right now. So that in the future, obviously here. They'll also get your recommendation for this preliminary plat at that time. So basically what that means is if you make any kind of a recommendation on this, it'll have to be contingent upon their approval of this vacation. So basically what we're saying is you kind of need to look at this thing from the standpoint of the idea that you're assuming they're going to approve it. Make the recommendation based on that and put that in your recommendation that's conditioned on that approval. So, we'll just kind of go on from there, I guess. So one benefit to the overall proposal, and that being both the combination of the vacation and the subdivision, would be that it partially alleviates a problem with the double frontage lots currently here between Clearwater Point Drive to the north and Bryden Avenue to the south. As you can see, this row of lots has public right-of-way adjacent to both sides of the lots. And this is something that the code discourages. And being able to plat another row of lots here to the south of these existing lots would solve this problem in this area. Although Bryden Avenue, which is an important arterial route, would need to be vacated to do that, the proposed plat configuration also provides an alternate connection for the Bryden Avenue Transportation Corridor, which the code also requires. It maintains the opportunity for connections to 19th Street, which is over here, and the unplatted property to the east in this area. And we will see the details of that connection in this area when we get to the actual preliminary plat document, so that will come up later and I'll kind of point it out at that point. Next, we'll go to some ground photos. Our first photo is taken from the south side of Airway Avenue at the east edge of 18th Street and looks generally north. As I mentioned, Airway Avenue is the one here in the foreground. 18th Street is over here on the left or the west side of the photo. And as you can see, the subject property slopes gently to the north and west and has a history of cultivation. The line of houses here at the north end of the lot are those same residences that we saw that sit between that Clearview Point Drive and undeveloped Bryden Avenue. So this line of houses here. And then Bryden Avenue actually runs along the far edge of the field, just right in front of those houses in this view. And the second photo is also taken from the 18th and Airway intersection, but it is looking generally east down the Airway Avenue right of way. And so that would be Airway here and then 18th here. So, and then this next photo, I've moved to the southeast corner of the property and I'm standing along the north side of Airway Avenue. So this over here would be Airway Avenue and looking generally west. The property again. And then for the final one, we'll basically turn 90 degrees to the right for a shot looking down the north, down the easterly boundary of the parcel. And so this out in here is the development parcel. The actual plat. So this is the actual plat. And on the preliminary plat, we can see the proposed configuration of the 56 lots and the streets that will serve them. First thing I'd like to point out is the plat is showing this development will be constructed in 2 phases. You can see that phase line here, which then means that approximately 40% of this northern end, including the proposed Gallatin Way Street here and the north end of Glacier Drive here, will be part of that first phase of the subdivision. And then also then this piece that's technically outside, it would be considered frontage improvements, I guess, but it's outside the subdivision of that Bryden Avenue. And as I talked about earlier, this is that alternate connection that would be required to then, because Bryden Avenue in some point in the future will come across here, and then you'll make that connection back to Bryden Avenue and be able to get along to those other undeveloped properties and 19th Street to the east of there. And then this southerly, about 60%, with proposed Clark Fork Lane down here. The remainder of Glacier Drive here will be in phase 2. And then any of the frontage improvements that are adjacent to those sections of the piece of the subdivision that's adjacent to 18th and Airway will also be done as frontage improvements as part of that subdivision at that time. Another thing to point out is the preliminary plat is showing the majority of these parcels being developed with the zero lot line common wall dwellings, what people would commonly refer to as townhouses, and you can kind of see that in some of these, that you can see that the lines of the buildings go right up to the lot line. Announcing these kind of intentions at this point is not a requirement of the preliminary plat. And it will technically not tie them into doing that development, that type of a lot. They could come back and end up doing, instead of doing, townhouse here, they could do individual lots on these. But I am pointing this out because this is an option that is allowed in the R3 zone under the small lot development standards. So this is something that if they want to, they can do this as part of the zone that has already been passed for this area. Just so you kind of get an idea of what can happen in this district. The city does have an existing sewer line in 18th Street at the northwest corner of the subdivision, and mains will be extended south along the streets and east along the center line streets here to serve the proposed subdivision. The Lewiston Orchards Irrigation District currently has lines in both 18th Street over here and Airway Avenue to the south. But currently, the developer and the water district are working through the process of annexation, so it's actually not in the water district at the moment. Once the annexation is complete, the water district will be able to provide water services to the new water mains will be extended in these new streets to provide service for the subdivision. Completion of both phases of the subdivision will result in approximately 1,853 linear feet of new public streets and approximately 1,321 linear feet of new frontage improvements along 18th and Airway. Avista Utilities, CenturyLink Lumen, and Sparklight have also confirmed their intent to provide service for these lots. The subject property was recently rezoned from R1 to R3 like we talked about, and the proposed lot configurations do comply with the minimum requirements for that zone. The preliminary plat complies with the applicable requirements of the City of Lewiston Subdivision Ordinance, which is City Code Chapter 32. And as I discussed earlier, the validity of this preliminary plat configuration is dependent upon the vacation of Bryden Avenue. So city staff recommends that the Lewiston Planning and Zoning Commission recommend to the Lewiston City Council approval of the preliminary plat of the Canyon Crest South Edition contingent upon their approval with any conditions they wish to impose of VA 02-2023, which is the vacation action for that portion of Bryden Avenue east of 18th Street. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
Mr. Chairman. Okay, so when you vacate that, right now there won't be any alleyway, the lots abut each other, is that correct?
Well, basically what's going on, if we go back to that first one, this, you can kind of see these blue lines are our existing right-of-way. Those were actually streets that were platted back with the original, what they call Orchards Tracts plats back in about 1910. All of these houses in the additional streets up here to the north were done as a newer subdivision about 30 years ago. But at that time, like I said, they built basically right up to this line. So if they were to actually build out Bryden at this point, you would have this frontage where you'd literally have streets on both sides. If they vacate this, technically what happens is half of the street goes to each adjoining landowner. So our developer will get the south half, not shown kind of in this, these adjacent landowners to the north would get the pieces that front their particular property. So we would
Extends their
completely
backyards.
eliminate the right of way in
That's
that
what I was
process.
wondering. And so, I noticed on the other map that you had, that this Glacier Way, or whatever that road is that goes up and around, will that then stay open over on the other side for the extension of Bryden Avenue?
So the intent would be because, and in fact, we do actually have, I'll kind of just really quickly jump back to here. We do actually have some public utilities. We have a sewer line that runs in this piece of Bryden Avenue right now. And like I said, eventually we may need, to build this street to access clear across here to 19th and down to these lots. So what's gonna happen with this subdivision, the developer will be required to build all of Gallatin Way here, all of Glacier Drive to here, and then technically he'll build this little portion of Bryden Avenue as well and end right at his property line.
Is that something that needs to go into the proposal that he build the Bryden Avenue up that, or?
And it is, I mean, because it's included in the preliminary plat, then, you know, at this point, it is included in the proposal to that point. Once the preliminary plat is approved, he'll then have to submit the construction drawings, and it will be included as part of
Okay.
that as well, so.
How big are the lots individual? It looks like they're a few little bit different sizes, but you said that you could build a single house.
They're only like 7,500 square feet. It is that small lot development standard like we talked about in the R3, so these are, you know, that's kind of the trend. They're definitely, lots are getting smaller. There's a lot more call for smaller lots, so.
Okay, thank you.
Looks really good, thanks. So, just as a question, Joel, that vacating of the right-of-way, or the vacating of the street, that's just a courtesy that we're doing for the other property owners?
Well, it is in
Basically
one,
that and
in one sense, it is kind of a win-win-win. It's a win for the property owners to the north because they're getting to extend their backyards.
And
It's a
don't have to
win
worry
for
about
the
a street.
developer because he gets more lots. And it's a win for the city because we get to retain that east-west Bryden Avenue street traffic allowance while meeting part of our subdivision code, which says that there shouldn't be lots that have two street frontages, one in front and one in back. We're taking that away. So it's like a win-win-win.
Well, and can you help me word that amendment? Maybe Jennifer can help me with that. When we approve this thing, we're gonna add the amendment that we would include the vacation of Ryan Avenue as part of our.
Yeah, the contingency.
Yeah. So it would be a motion to recommend approval of the Canyon Crest South Edition preliminary plat contingent upon approval of VA 02 2023 to the city council.
Mr. Chairman, I would make that motion.
Thank you, Kathy. Just as Jennifer said it.
Just as Jennifer said.
And I would second that motion,
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this thing
as long as we don't have.
right away. Any other, it's been moved and seconded, ready for the vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? That carries. Thanks, Mark. All right, number 6 on our agenda is we're gonna review the zoning code amendment. Zoning amendment 01-23 to amend the provisions regarding public hearings, final decisions, and appeals. So, item A, review of the zoning code amendment. Is Joel gonna help us with that tonight?
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to Jennifer. I mean, you reviewed this before. There was some concern on the part of the Planning and Zoning Commission about some of the language having to do with, I'll just call it for now, discourteous behavior during the meeting. So staff was asked to try to reword it, and Jennifer's done that to the best of her ability with the input she got from the commission back then. And this is the revised version of that, and I'll let her explain that further.
So really, the only change to this proposed ordinance is in section 2 on page 2, and it's item 2 that has that, and it's that first sentence there. The new language that's being proposed is any person who disrupts a public hearing by making threatening comments or gestures, or who becomes disruptive, or who fails to remain on topic during a public hearing while addressing the commission or attending a public hearing shall first be warned by the chairman that he or she is out of order and that further disruption shall be caused to remove the person from the hearing. If the person continues to cause a disruption after being warned, the person may be removed by order of the chairman. So before, there was concerns about, you know, the type of comment. There was also concerns about being courteous to the members. However, there are First Amendment protections that people don't necessarily have to be courteous and they don't have to be polite, but under certain threatening actions, there could be grounds where that First Amendment does not extend, especially with imminent threats and things of that nature. So this should be broad enough to allow a variety of different First Amendment protections while also making it so that it's more discretionary towards how the council proceeds with it. There's no shalls there, so you may, warn the person, you may remove them, really it's gonna be at the discretion of the commission.
Great, thank you.
That's good.
Any questions for Jennifer? Really hits it all. How did you go through all that process? I mean, did other cities do similar things, or how did?
Well, there's a lot of constitutional law involved in that. There are frequently articles in municipal attorney literature, which I shared with everybody. And then there's just kind of looking at how other cities treat this issue. Some cities do make a more specific, do have more specific provisions that maybe if challenged might not pass constitutional muster. But, this way we're making it very specific to more the disruption, disrupting a public hearing, disrupting a public meeting. And there's no requirement to remain on topic during the public comment area. It's only when you're in the public hearing where it's specific to that matter.
But this does capture threatening
Yeah,
comments
comments.
and gestures.
Yes.
Doesn't take any of our action, but I think we're all agreed. This is something that we.
Yeah, I appreciate the work, and I appreciate the additional information that you provided that outlined a lot of it.
So with that, staff will schedule a public hearing on this for you to recommend it to city council.
It will be a public hearing. Okay. Great, look forward to that. Number 7 is our comprehensive plan phase 2 survey. Has everyone found the page?
Oh,
You
I was working
I
on
was
it.
paying
made it
attention
already,
to the
wouldn't have to do it
meeting.
twice.
I was trying not to
So
multitask.
just so everyone's
Can't do the
clear,
work
if
twice.
this is the second version of it, right? We had one in phase 1, now we're in phase 2, so this is additional input above and beyond phase 1.
Take it away, Joe.
So, I'm just gonna give a little introduction for anybody who may be watching who's unfamiliar. The city's in the process of writing our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan is our 20-year long-range plan mandated by the state of Idaho for cities and counties to have in place. And we're currently in phase 2 of the project timeline to gather public input. And our primary goal here is to establish a vision, which is the overarching goal of the plan, very high level. And then also themes that speak to that vision and help move toward achieving that vision. And this is public input. This is a survey, basically a questionnaire that is based on input received from phase 1 of our public input process. And this is building on that phase 1. And this survey then will be taken when it's completed. It closes on this Thursday, I believe, September 17th at midnight. It'll be closed, so it can only be taken up until then. After it's closed, the consultant will tabulate the results, bring it to the steering committee who's guiding this project. And hopefully we'll get the final vision and themes ready for approval. So we're just gonna kind of walk through that survey tonight with the commission. We're gonna try to get all the city's appointed boards and commissions to complete this survey. This is the chance for the Planning and Zoning Commission to do it. If you've already done it, fine, you don't need to do it twice. If you haven't done it yet, this is the time we're asking you to do that. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. I can bring it up on the screen. Mark, can I close your stuff?
Yeah, go ahead.
Doesn't want to close.
You have to click in the middle, close all tabs.
Oh, yeah, close.
Down, down.
Down
Yeah,
in the middle of the screen.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there you go.
I wonder if I closed my own. Oh, I didn't. So we're doing this from the city's, City of Lewiston's webpage, on the community, or website, on the community development page, Envision Lewiston 2044. That's the name of our new comprehensive plan, which we're in the process of beginning to write. And this survey is focused again on the vision, the themes, and the opportunity. This is what page 1 looks like. The first question asks you to pick from a laundry list of words and terms that you think are values that should be included with and contribute toward the draft vision. And that's what this first question is for. We're asking you to do this online as we're here at the meeting right now live. So I'm gonna basically kind of quit talking. It's a long list of questions, again, to the vision and themes. And I'm gonna let you kind of go to work. And if you have any questions as you're going through these about what they mean or anything about the completion of the survey, then please let me know.
Do you have the vacation number?
EA-02-2023.
And that was contingent on approval.
That VA is contingent upon.
There.
Gonna be a tricky one.
You do it.
What?
The survey?
Of course. Do you think Katie would let me not?
Good job.
My office is right next to hers.
Not see when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, we did it a few weeks ago.
Good. Right when it first came out.
I really like this little map that they have.
Yeah, I will say, I do appreciate the map that that also was at the,
Project timeline graphic?
well, that, and then also actually the map of.
This
Oh,
little
the
map.
opportunities map.
Yeah, yeah, cause I think living in the orchards, I mean, I don't know if I'm in the north orchards, the west orchards, the central orchards, I mean, I've
Where are
lived
you?
there for 3
Where are
years.
you? Now you should know.
Well, we're actually right above that sign that we just approved, like we're up that hill, so.
Okay.
But like I think of it as the orchards, I don't necessarily think of it as west orchards, central orchards.
Wow.
I don't know if I think of that area as orchards.
See, that's, yeah,
Well,
there you go.
there's not very many orchards up there anymore.
Well,
No.
yeah,
No.
that's true.
Map actually depicts the current comprehensive plan's neighborhoods.
Oh, the designations,
Yep,
okay.
yep, so when you get a conditional use permit application and you're reading the staff report, the comprehensive plan section of the staff report will say it's in neighborhood so-and-so. These are the boundaries of the various so-called neighborhoods in our
Right.
current comprehensive plan. Our new comprehensive plan may not end up being like this at all.
Right, I think we've had that, a little bit of that discussion in
Yeah.
the steering committee.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
So how was the response at the farmer's market?
It was pretty good. Yeah, it wasn't as good as at Art Under the Elms, but we're not done yet. We're doing it again this Saturday too. Yeah.
There's not a lot of parking at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
And I noticed.
Yeah,
It's really created a little bit of a problem at the end of 11th. The
Oh, I bet it
the
has.
Knox thing.
Yep, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Turning either way onto Snake River Ave. Is that what you're talking about?
Just even coming off of Snake River, or coming off of 11th.
Right, turning
It's-
either
yeah,
way, yep,
it's
I can see that.
Turning into the coffee shop, and, yeah, I avoid that now.
People pulling out, people turning, yeah.
Or trying to jockey for space, so they're slowing down.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
just down to one person there.
I know, but I mean, it's a great idea to develop, it's just unfortunate,
We might have to put a traffic light up there someday.
They put that residential crosswalk.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
coming
not
down the
there.
hill,
That,
but-
that's not at 11 though,
But they put the light
there.
down further and it's like,
Oh, are you talking about the, like, right at the,
Mm-hmm.
not the right of way, but,
right at the skate park and the
yes,
Knox-
thank you.
Yeah, the
Okay,
coffee
yeah,
place.
yeah.
Yeah, so 11th, unfortunately, because it goes all the way to 21st, has kind of become one of those little bit of a thoroughfare.
yeah, it
does,
is
but I like
really
to-
started
and-
to.
And my husband runs samples for the Path Regional Lab and now, dive off at the
Oh, okay.
hospital. So it's becoming a little problem.
Wish you'd had a place to put 2 checks for the ones that you really want.
I know, it's hard to,
We need ranked choice.
Oh, you get that later on, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you do get that
Well,
later
I
on.
I
guess
know,
I'm
but
gonna-
I'm saying for all the, check all these that apply,
yeah.
yeah. Most important,
Yeah.
like all of them should be like that.
One of the things that the steering committee kind of does is start to dive down a little deeper into the stuff and
I think that the thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is when people take these surveys, a lot of times people end up feeling like their priorities aren't what's listed.
yeah.
Like, which one of your priorities do you want me to put? Not what my priorities are. And I think that that's a big part of it, is people are feeling like it's out of touch with
So,
what their priorities are.
right, and the backdrop to that, the response to that is that the steering committee consists of well over 23 people that are a very broad cross-section of the community. And they developed the initial bones, which were then put out to the general public, which added to it
Yeah.
and refined it, and then it went back to the steering committee for further refinement, and now here we are again,
Yep.
doing another round of public input refinement, which will go back to the steering committee again, so, I mean, you can only do so much of the.
Well, and I think that, you know, one of the biggest things to go back to people with though is, did you participate?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
did you participate in the early portions of this? Because that's where the information a lot of times comes from.
And did you utilize what's in the comprehensive plan? Because even after this document is done and finalized, there's gonna be a lot of individual actors that actually shape it at the micro level in terms of, did you actually use the zoning code for X, Y, and Z? You know,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't comprehend have difficulty a little bit kind of with the amorphous shape of a document
Yeah.
and how all the individual actions over the course of that document are going to shape what the city is gonna look like.
Exactly.
And we can give a comprehensive plan that says, these are the broad guidelines of what
It's a
we want it to
vision.
look
It's a
like in
vision.
2044,
Yeah.
but
It's a
people
vision.
might, the individual actors involved over those 20 years might end up to be something completely different.
Yep.
And that's hard for people to grasp.
It's conceptualization
Yeah.
and it's, yeah.
Well, and the acceptance, it's, as you pointed out, that leaderships change, boards change, people's needs change, and
Yeah.
so we see this at the U of I all the time. I mean, right now with this University of Phoenix,
Yeah.
I know after the pandemic, we've got to grow our ability to deliver online.
Oh, for sure.
But on the other hand,
Yeah.
I'm
But don't
not
wanna
a
go-
business.
Yeah.
I was really pleased to see some of my ideas that I presented are
Yes.
on the survey.
All right,
Yes.
looks like
Yes, Joel.
everyone's done.
I'm
Thank
good.
you, Joel. Thank you, appreciate that. Took care of that. That leads us to item 8 on our agenda is the staff. communications.
I have,
Except for that, what else do you have, Joel?
I don't think I have anything.
That should be it.
I got nothing else for you.
All right. Well, if we can just show our hands if we're gonna make it to the next meeting, September 27, looks like the day.
I will not,
Everybody's in on plan, we'll hear about this.
I will not be making it to the next meeting. I
I'll be
might
there.
try to be online.
Perfect, we'll take you online. All right, and that leads us to item number 9. It is the motion to adjourn.
I will make the motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I will second that.
Been moved and seconded, we call this meeting done for. All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
Those opposed, thank you.